Think of this. Communism has killed over 100 million in the world. From blatantly killing people for the sake of a fundamentally flawed ideology to causing starvation, the left wing has redefined the textbook definition of sadism. Early communism hated people who worked hard and accumulated wealth. Modern communism has a new object of hate, the Republic of India. India has always tried to build strong relations with all the countries, and especially its neighbors. It has contributed significantly to their development story. But despite its positive impact, left-leaning governments in its neighboring countries have projected India as a big bully in the neighborhood.
India is perceived as a big bully. Big bullies don't provide $4.5 billion.
This makes it clear. India's influence makes them uneasy. Even in the United States, left-wing politicians have frequently targeted India, questioning its domestic policies and international moves. But why does the left hate India? Take the case of Sri Lanka. India and the island nation have shared deep-rooted ties for centuries, and the relationship has been mostly cordial. A serious jolt in the relationship between the two neighbors occurred during the Sri Lankan Civil War in the 1980s. While India wanted to perform a peacekeeping role to end the devastating civil war in the island nation and to protect its national security, the leftist leaders there misinterpreted this as India trying to interfere in their domestic matters. According to them, Sri Lanka had the right to handle its own problems without India stepping in. Through such a narrative, the leftists in Sri Lanka garnered support and were successful in creating an anti-India sentiment. This was based on the idea of India being the bullying big brother in South Asia, meaning it tried to dominate smaller countries in the region. Alienating India equates to building closer ties with China, a strategy the leftist ideology in Sri Lanka maintained well. Several Sri Lankan governments have implemented socialist economic policies that have a pro-China tilt, but being close to China comes with a price. Take the case of the Hambantota port. In the name of economic growth, Sri Lanka borrowed heavily from China. When the loans became unpayable, the port was handed over to Beijing on a 99-year lease. With China so close to the Indian mainland, along with its constant surveillance of crucial trade routes in the Indian Ocean, it became a reason for worry for India. And yet, during Sri Lanka's devastating economic crisis in 2022, who stepped up? India did. New Delhi provided billions of dollars in food, medicine, and fuel to stabilize the country when everyone refused to offer a helping hand. But what was Colombo's response to this? It welcomed the Chinese surveillance ships into the ports despite India's security concerns. Even today, the anti-India rhetoric is still prevalent in the country and is a major tool to win elections each time. Now let's look at the issue that India faces with Nepal, which had jolted their relations to some extent. The Himalayan nation, sandwiched between two Asian giants, India and China, experienced a long period of monarchy and brief experiments with democracy. Finally, Nepal emerged as a republic in 2008. In spite of sharing deep cultural bonds with India, when leftist governments take charge in Nepal, this bond often feels strained. Why? Let's uncover. Even though both nations share similar cultures and religions, the Communist Party of Nepal portrays India as a bully, interfering in the internal affairs of the nation. Consider this example. In 2015, Nepal adopted a new constitution. The Madheshi community felt marginalized and began protesting, blocking trade routes from India to Nepal. But here's a twist. The leftist parties were quick to fire shots at India, claiming the blockade to be orchestrated by New Delhi to pressure them into amending the constitution that was against the Indian interests. The blockade created a 4-month-long shortage of essential supplies, such as fuel, medicine, and raw materials, which created immense crisis in the lives of the common people. This generated a nationwide anti-India sentiment, where India was seen as infringing upon the sovereignty of Nepal. The leftists were successfully able to paint India as the bad guy, responsible for their suffering. But why did the communists in Nepal hate India so much? For them, ideology reigns supreme. This is why they find common ground with China's political system, whereas India's democracy does not fit their taste. Although India is Nepal's major trade and transit partner and has invested a lot in its development, Nepal is rolling out the red carpet. Financial support from China helps the left leaders to ward off Indian influence. But little do they know that too much dependence on China surely backfires. The result? A massive debt trap. A Kathmandu-based think tank has recently released a report titled Geopolitics and Information Disorder in Nepal, stating journalistic bias, along with nationalism and lack of information, is contributing to the negative portrayal of India. The anti-India narrative over the years has been a successful political tool that the Communist Party of Nepal has leveraged to gain electoral success. Xenophobia has become an easier mean to garner votes instead of addressing internal issues to jeopardize Nepal till this day. But it's not just the South Asian neighbors that are critical of India. Let's shift our focus to the United States. India and the USA, the two largest democracies, have seen their shares of ups and downs in bilateral relations. While ties have strengthened in the 21st century, have you noticed how the left-leaning government in the US openly criticizes India? Communism's challenges in India are not just from external forces, but also from within the country, often slowing its development. In his book, The Long Game, former Foreign Secretary Vijay Gokhale argues that China exploited its close connections with the Indian communists to create great opposition in the 2008 Indo-US civil nuclear deal. He suggests that the CPI and CPIM prioritized ideology over India's development, sometimes blocking initiatives that could have benefited the nation. This ideological resistance, according to Gokhale, often worked against India's interest, particularly in terms of its progress on the global stage. Democrat leaders like Bernie Sanders openly criticized the revocation of Article 317 and called it a human rights violation. Such criticism isn't new. The Kashmir issue has been a bone of contention since the Cold War, with American governments often taking a critical stance on India's actions. Then there's the Citizenship Amendment Act, CAA. While the law aims to protect persecuted minorities, some US leaders labeled it discriminatory without even understanding its broader context. It became evident of the underlying current of Hinduphobia and anti-Indian sentiments.
Your family is from India. You have no respect. You have no rules. You think you can push everyone? Push.
The UK left, including the former Labour Party MP Jeremy Corbyn, used India's farmer protests to fuel anti-India narratives. The British Parliament even debated the issue, reflecting they have not yet overcome the colonial hangover. And by the way, Corbyn has been accused of supporting Hamas and anti-Semitic sentiments. Classic political left behavior. This pattern of left-leaning parties questioning India's domestic policies often feels like the interference in our sovereignty. And guess what? Such differences has often strained the India-US relations. Countering such stances, S. Jaishankar opined that there are certain etiquette, contentions, and practices that must be followed in international relations. He added that if a foreign country comments on India's politics, they will get a very strong reply from us. And that is what happened. On the other hand, right-leaning governments in the US prioritize countering China's rise and view India as a key partner in this effort. For instance, Republican leaders like Vivek Ramaswamy advocate banning Chinese investments, while Nikki Haley has promised a hardline approach towards Beijing. As global dynamics shift, India must navigate these ideological differences to maintain strong ties with the US, regardless of who's in power. With Trump regaining office, New Delhi can expect to develop stronger ties while counterbalancing the influence of a rising China in South Asia and beyond. So why do left-leaning governments in Sri Lanka, Nepal, and the USA often peddle anti-India narratives? It's a combination of ideological differences, historical tension, and strategic calculations. India's influence in the region, with its power and size, often makes smaller nations feel uncomfortable. especially when they are trying to counterbalance India and China. But here's the thing. Despite the criticism, India isn't backing down. The recent economic crisis in Sri Lanka and the numerous rescue operations in earthquake-prone Nepal. These are solid examples of India successfully showcasing its neighborhood-first policy. However, it's not just external leftist forces attempting to malign India's image. Indian communists have a long history of opposing the nation's growth and development. They spread misinformation, misguide the public, and falsely portray themselves as the champions of the poor. The 34-year rule of the Left Front in West Bengal has brought the states to ruins, destroying its healthcare, education, and economy. Kerala, too, is following a similar track. By blocking crucial reforms that could elevate India on a global stage, the leftists remain trapped in an outdated 19th century Western ideology, prioritizing Western dogma over the progress of their own motherland. It is surprising to witness that divide and rule did not perish after the British left. It has been carried upon by leaders such as Rahul Gandhi and Mamata Banerjee, who exploit caste and religious divisions to create social unrest. Pitting communities against each other to secure their voter base is their go-to that disregards national unity and sustains vested interests. Their actions reveal a clear agenda to hinder India's rise as a global power and maintain their ideological hold, regardless of the cost to the nation. This is Sampriti. See you in the next one.